Hey, it's Dr. Z, and today I'm going to talk about conditionals. This is from Chapter 3, Control Structures. So conditionals use the statement if. And I'm going to jump right into an example. First, num1, I'm going to ask the user, enter a number. Now I'm going to say if num1 is greater than 10, colon. When you hit enter, it will automatically indent the next line. Print. That number is greater than 10. That's all I'm going to do right now to start. So I run the program, enter a number, 12. That number is greater than 10. I try it again, 4. Nothing happens. So with an if statement, this is a Boolean expression. If this Boolean expression is true, then it will do what's in here. You can have as many lines as you want in here until the indent ends. We'll be doing an example later with some things like that. So that is the basic bare bones of the if statement. You can do a lot with this, but you can do a lot more once you add else. Else, colon, which has to be not indented, print, that number is not greater than 10. Now we'll try to run this again. 12, again, that number is greater than 10. 4, that number is not greater than 10. So ifs can be used to direct the flow of your program. You can string together a bunch of these with what are called else ifs, or in Python, elif. So let me do something like that. If num1 is greater than 100, print that number is greater than 100. Elif num1 is greater than 10, print that number is between 10 and 100. Else, print that number is below 10. Okay, so it's going to do this statement first, and then it will do this statement. What this will do is if the number is over 100, it will say this, and then skip to the end. It should skip here. In fact, let me do print all done. It should say this statement and skip to the end. If this is false, it's going to check this else if, and then if this is true, it will do this, and then jump to the end. If these are both false, it goes back to the else, and then does that and goes to the end. I'll start with the number 115. That first statement, that number is greater than 10. And then here it matches that if that number is greater than 100, and then it jumps to the all done. Now I do it again. Let's do a number between 10 and 100, like 76. That number is between 10 and 100. It failed this. This was false, so it skips this and goes to the next statement inside here, which is elif, or the next statement not tabbed, elif. This is true. You'll notice also parentheses are optional for that. This is true, so it prints this and then jumps to the end. And then I can do a number like 3. That number is below 10. All done. You can string as many elifs as you want. So let's do something like a grade check. Okay, call it grade. Int input, enter a numerical grade. It's an int, we'll assume that they will write an int. If grade is greater than or equal to 90, print A. Elif grade is greater than or equal to 80, print B. Elif grade greater than or equal to 70, print C. Elif grade greater than or equal to 60. I'm going to go by the grad level type thing for giving more than one line, where if you don't get a C, then you don't pass. A D does not count as passing at grad school. So print D, print you did not pass. Please try again. Just to show you how you do more than one line. And then your final one, else. You can do another elif here if you want. Else is kind of a catch-all. If it gets to the end and there's an else, and all the others before are false, it will execute what's inside the else. Print F, print you did not pass. Please try again. Okay, let's try to run this program. Numerical grade. Let's start with a 75. C. Okay. Let's do a 99. A. 84. B. 64. D. You did not pass. Please try again. And 12. F. You did not pass. Please try again. And let's leave it visible on a happier note. We'll call it a 93. A. So you can string as many elifs as you want. Else at the end is going to be all the checks previous were false. You do not always need an else. If you don't have an else and all of these are false, then nothing happens. Just like the first one we did that I erased, I just had an if. Okay, now I want to do one more. Just a little bit more advanced if checks. I'll call it number checker. User input a number. Check the following. Even or odd, divisible by 3, over or under 50, perfect square. Just like before, num equals, this time I'm going to use float instead of an int. Though really, I'll keep using an int because even, odd, divisible, and perfect square things are usually used to describe integers. Enter an integer. Okay. If. Let's do even or odd first. Even or odd. So how do you define even? Even is a number that's divisible by 2. Odd is not divisible by 2. Even is a number divisible by 2. We're going to use mod, the percent sign, to determine this. I'm going to briefly show a code thing. So if I do 5 mod 2, like that, that's a 1. But if I do 6 mod 2, it's a 0. So if I do modulus 2, if it's even, it's a 0, and if it's odd, it's a 1. So here's my if statement that I'm going to use. Oh, I need to not add those extra things. if num mod 2 is equal to 0. If it is even. If when you divide by 2, you have 0 remainder. Whenever you do a comparison, the single equal is an assignment function. When you want to see if two things are equal to each other, you have to use two equal signs. Because I ended with a comment there, it won't auto tab. Let's do that. Print. The number is even. Else, print. The number is odd. We're going to test this before we move on. Let me delete these extra. Integer. 7. The number is odd. 28. The number is even. Okay. Now, completely separate check. So that's if else done. Divisible by 3. Same sort of check, except where even is divisible by 2. Now we're going to check divisible by 3. So I'm going to take this code and just copy it again. Divisible by 3. The number is divisible by 3. The number is not divisible by 3. Again, I'm going to check this. 12, it is divisible by 3 and it's even. 15 is divisible by 3 and it's odd. 11, odd and not divisible by 3. 8, even and is not divisible by 3. Over or under 50 is going to be just like above here. Over, under 50. Untab that. If num is greater than or equal to 50, print the number is at least 50. Else, print the number is less than 50. Again, we're going to test all of this. 16, it is less than 50. 75, odd divisible by 3 is at least 50. Okay. Last thing to check, is it a perfect square? So perfect square means that there is no remainder when you take the square root. So this is how we're going to do perfect square for now. If num to the power of 0.5 mod 1 is equal to 0. So num to the 0.5, that's a square root, mod 1, the remainder when you divide by 1. If that's 0, then it is a perfect square. Print the number is a perfect square. Else, print the number is not a perfect square. And let's test this. Let's see. 16 is a perfect square. It's even, not divisible by 3, less than 50. It is a perfect square. Let's see. 81 is a perfect square. Odd is divisible by 3, is at least 50, is a perfect square. 82. Even, not divisible by 3, at least 50, not a perfect square. These are all separate if statements, and these are more simple ones as opposed to kind of a chained else if like we did with grade. So those are the basics of the conditional if. As we go through the semester, we will end up seeing a lot more of these. So for now, I'm going to sign off here, and we'll get to practice more of these in class.